From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, November the 8th, 2024. We open with a horrendous attack last night on Israeli citizens in Amsterdam, in what is being referred to by many as a modern-day pogrom. In a seemingly well-organized assault, gangs of masked and armed anti-Israel rioters attacked Israeli soccer fans after a match between Israeli team Maccabi Tel Aviv and Amsterdam's AFC Ajax, with mobs running through the streets, shouting pro-Palestinian slogans, seeking out Israelis and Jews, and beating them. 10 Israelis were reported injured. 62 suspects arrested. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent 2 emergency planes to get the Israeli citizens out of Amsterdam, and they have arrived safely back in Israel. Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof strongly condemned the attack.
Let's say that I'm ashamed that this happened in the Netherlands, and it's a terrible anti-Semitic attack. And we will not tolerate, and we will prosecute the perpetrators. And I'm deeply ashamed that it could happen in the Netherlands in 2024.
Netanyahu spoke with Schoof this morning and said that he views with utmost gravity the planned anti-Semitic attack against Israeli citizens and requested that security be increased for the Dutch Jewish community. During a briefing on the situation today, the Prime Minister noted tomorrow, 86 years ago, was Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, when Jews on European soil, he said, were attacked for being Jews. This has now recurred. This was marked yesterday in the streets of Amsterdam. But the Prime Minister said the difference now is there is a state of Israel, vowing to deal with the situation. Israel's President Isaac Herzog spoke today with the King of the Netherlands, Willem-Alexander, also noting that last night's events echoed dark and grim times for the Jewish people and must be unequivocally condemned. Herzog urged that every possible measure be taken on the streets of Amsterdam to halt this terrible wave of anti-Semitic hatred. The king strongly condemned the attacks and told Herzog, "We failed the Jewish community of the Netherlands during World War II, and last night we failed again." U.S. Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism, Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt, wrote yesterday, horrified by the attacks tonight in Amsterdam, which are terribly reminiscent of a classic pogrom. Israel's new Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gideon Sa'ar, flew to Amsterdam and is meeting today with senior officials in the government, as well as with Israelis in Amsterdam and the local Jewish community. Sa'ar, as we reported to you, was just appointed foreign minister to replace Yisrael Katz, who has now replaced Yoav Gallant as defense minister, after Gallant was dismissed by Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier this week. Upon his departure as defense minister, Gallant spoke last night to U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, thanking him and the U.S. administration for, he wrote, "your extraordinary support during Israel's darkest hour. We must remember that the United States and Israel are beacons of light, freedom, and progress in this world. Our special bond must remain powerful and unshakable." Yisrael Katz held his first phone call with Austin today, the Times of Israel citing Katz thanking the Secretary of Defense for the United States' support of Israel from the first day of the war, for the commitment to return all the hostages and to preserve the strategic ties between the countries in the face of threats from Iran and its proxies. Well, an IDF reservist who was severely injured 2 weeks ago fighting terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon died of those injuries today. He is 39-year-old Master Sergeant in Reserve Guy Shabtai. Dozens of rockets were fired today by Hezbollah at northern Israel and at central Israel. One of those rockets caused heavy damage to a home in the northern Israeli Arab town of Kfar Yassif. There were no injuries. The IDF also intercepted at least one drone from Lebanon today and continues to respond to the Hezbollah attacks. eliminating terrorists and hitting terror targets in Lebanon. The IDF sharing today that it exposed a Hezbollah terrorist training center located just 200 meters, just over 200 yards from a UNIFIL post. The facility, the IDF said, also contained rocket launchers prepared for firing at Israeli communities. The compound was dismantled. Dr. Yechiel Leiter will be Israel's next ambassador to the United States. The Prime Minister's office said today Leiter has served in senior public service positions in Israel, including Education Ministry Deputy Director General. Leiter was born in the U.S., the office said, and is deeply familiar with the American administration and society. Also noting, sadly, that Leiter's son, Major Moshe Yedidia Leiter, fell in combat in Gaza on November the 10th of last year. Dr. Leiter will replace Ambassador Michael Herzog upon the conclusion of his term, now extended until January the 20th. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, November the 8th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8:30, Justin Pine speaks with Rabbi David Rosenn of the Hebrew Free Loan Society. At 9:30, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with Rabbi and author Benjamin Resnick about his new book, Next Stop. At 10, David Harris speaks with former Knesset member Einat Wilf about her perspectives on Israel after October the 7th. At 10:30, a replay from the Hampton Synagogue, followed by a replay from Central. And coming up next, a look at this week's Torah Portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, November the 8th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.